So good afternoon and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for making the time to join us today. I know that the topic of money can sometimes be a bit sensitive. It's not something people generally want to think about sometimes and let alone talk about. So I really want to commend you on the courage you've shown joining our session today. I'm Nadine October. I've been with Fetola for the past 5.5 years and currently work as a business lead in the incubation space for the Tholoana Enterprise Program. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Tholoana program, but if you are not, the Tholoana program aims to support resilient entrepreneurs in growing a business, as well as creating lasting impact in underserved communities. Recently, we've embarked on a journey to develop the Money Magic series, which I've been a part of. And the series is made up of a number of interventions that serves to empower our entrepreneurs with regards to financial management, to become comfortable with their finances, being able to speak about it, and make informed business decisions using that data. So the starting point for the Money Magic series is the emotions of money. It focuses on personal finance. We move into financial management, and then lastly into investment readiness, which prepares us to access finance. I'm really hoping that our topic today will help you gain more understanding and awareness of your relationship with money, and we'll share some tools that will hopefully help as well. I'm just going to get my slides up, and then we can jump into our presentation. Okay, can everybody see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Yes, that's Nadine.
Okay, awesome. So I'm really excited about today's topic. I come from a background in human resources development, and I majored in business management as well as in people management, which focuses a lot on psychology. I've always had an interest in personal development, so this kind of topic is really right up my alley. I've also had my own business, and I have learned that it is important to understand your relationship with money and how that impacts the way you manage your business. So at Fetola, most of our business development programs always would include an element of skills development. And our workshops, while they are focused on the fundamentals of building a sustainable business, always also focuses on developing confidence in our business leaders. Now, leadership begins with understanding yourself and what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and what drives your behaviors. And when you understand this and understand yourself, it helps you to be able to relate to others better and definitely to be able to manage them as you understand and manage yourself. Once again, as I've stated, as a business leader, especially in the early stages of your business, it's so important that you realize the impact of your personal behaviors and how that transcends into the business. So money really has an energy of its own. Money represents power, and in our day and age, we can really see that more and more because of social media, globalization. We can see how people that have a lot of wealth are able to do more things, experience more things, and actually have more influence on the world around them. Money really magnifies what already exists. And so how we feel about money becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in our lives. If we look at the image, we can see the river flows easily. And when people have an abundance mindset, money will flow easily to them and through them. However, when we have blockages and limiting beliefs around money, like the rocks in the image, it alters the flow and can sometimes stop the flow of money. And so people that do experience blockages with regard to finances, they will always experience a shortage of money. Now, we all know the cliches. We've heard them growing up. Money is not that important. Money is there to be spent. money won't buy you happiness, or that it's selfish to want a lot of money. Our relationship with money is formed during our formative years as we watch the adults in our lives and how they interact with money, how they feel about it when they spend it, how they feel about it when they receive it, and what they say about it. And this becomes the foundation of our relationship with money. As we go along and grow up, we have various experiences about money, and this then becomes the foundation or sort of build our money personality. Like I was explaining about the self-fulfilling prophecies, the more you believe something, the more you will have experiences that reinforce those beliefs or see things from a perspective that does. And when we grow up in an environment where there is a shortage of money, we develop an anxiety-based relationship with money. So for some of us, we might then always be saving, always trying to prepare and keep money for when we don't have enough. Even when we have more than enough, we're unable to just enjoy that. We find some people that even when they could be enjoying themselves, they would prefer to take care of their loved ones and make sure that they have everything that they need instead of taking care of themselves. Then to the other extreme, we have individuals that don't want to know what's happening in their bank account. They just want to live their best life and enjoy their money because they feel that they deserve it. And on the other extreme, we have individuals that grow up with an abundance of money. And so they might find challenges in their latter life where they're not as resilient and financially savvy as those who've had to cope with less, or they feel that their money makes them important, or they feel that they have to pretend to have money so that they would be seen as valued or important. As we can see, the relationships with money are as complex and many as there are people. These various factors interact with different in different ways, and sometimes even in different stages of our lives, we will have different approaches to our money. I know for myself, growing up, my father was in the construction business, which meant that in the winter it rained and he always had to save money for a rainy day. For us, looking at him, we always thought, gosh, why is he so stingy, always saving, always complaining about money? And what was interesting is that both my parents really came from an upbringing where their parents struggled financially. My mother was the opposite of my father. When she got paid, hey, the party was on for her and for us. We always looked forward to it. We knew we were going out, we'd be eating at restaurants and shopping, but once the money was over, it was a long way to the next payday. So I think growing up as a child, I looked at both my parents and wanted to sort of be a balance of both. I wanted to save and prepare for the future and make sure that I had what was needed for when it was needed. However, I also wanted to be able to enjoy my money when the opportunity was there to do so. Once again, we come back to, as a business leader, understanding your relationship with money is important because you then transfer that into the business. Initially, while you are making the financial decisions, and even as the business expand, those who you teach to take over that function in your business will be affected by the policies that you have put in place. So to tell us a bit more from this perspective, I'd like to welcome our first guest speaker. Today, we are joined by Marc Johnson, founder and CEO of It's a Breeze. And It's a Breeze is really what Marc would love for business leaders to say financial management is. He's so passionate about finance and accounting and has traveled all over Africa trying to help small businesses and small business leaders to say that finance is easy. Welcome, Marc.
Hello, Nadine, and everyone on the call. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Cool. So, Marc, tell us about how your passion for finance was born.
You said it's a 2-hour webinar or a 3-hour webinar, Nadine?
One, Mark, just one. Keep it tight.
Oh, no. God. That's the worst thing. Hey? You always have to keep things short when you get so excited. Anyway, I get really excited and passionate about the topic of finance and financial literacy. Well, look, I think there's a few things. I'll keep it as tight as I can. We're at 13:19. So I think sometimes your passion finds you. You don't find your passion, depending on your kind of stance in life. If you believe there's a calling, there's things that you got to do in life. Depends which way around it is. Nadine, for a blessing or a curse, I've always been interested in the meaning of life. What's the deeper purpose? Why are we here? What are we here for? I mean, that I can track back to my university days, and that's maybe just because my personality is, I'm curious. I'm curious about stuff, so maybe is the core of it. But having that curiosity and that questioning kind of mindset, led me to probably multiple midlife crises and tectonic shifts as I changed direction to say, look, I'm unsatisfied, and let's me try and find something new. And the long and the short of it is probably my most recent tectonic shift was in the late 2000s. The global financial crisis hit in 2008. My credit cards were maxed out. My overdraft was maxed out. It was a tough time, for a lot of people. I wouldn't even call myself an entrepreneur then. I was self-employed from the late 90s. So it was a really tough time. One thing I did is I started lecturing at college campus and then varsity college, because I thought, geez, I always thought I enjoyed that. And that was one indicator, because I was, for the first time, really in a teaching environment. But I think probably the most important thing is I went into 2011-ish. I went into quite a period of introspection. And Mbatha, if you can put those 2 books up in the chat. As I was trying to understand, what the hell did I want to do with my life? From a working perspective. That was the driving thing. I'm almost in my 50s already, and I'm saying I still haven't hit the spot. Anyway, so there's 2 books, Donna Dunning's What's Your Type of Career, and What's My Type of Career, and the Please Understand Me by Kersey and Bates, were quite instrumental as I went through a period of reflection. And as if by magic out of the heavens one day, and I said this was probably a year or so of work, writing, thinking, reading. Out of the heavens dropped my 3 E's model, which defined for me what I wanted to do vocationally. E1 was I wanted to be involved with empowering and inspiring people. I figured that out. I really love it. When I can empower and inspire people. The second E was the E for entrepreneurship. I have an entrepreneurial sort of makeup, and I figured I love working with entrepreneurs and being an entrepreneur. The third E, perhaps less important, was explore. I love exploring the world of ideas. I love exploring better ways of doing things all the time. I'm an Enneagram 5, so I'm always, my God, I'm ideating. You can't leave me alone for a minute, and I'm coming up with another idea. It's quite terrible.
I know that.
That's
always full of ideas.
And the last point, maybe on that one, Mbatha, you can probably put up in the chat. I'm only saying this in retrospect, but is the concept of the ikigai is probably quite a good one for anyone on the call that's saying, geez, I don't know if I'm in the right space in life. The ikigai is a Japanese concept for your reason for being, and doing work you love is kind of one of the most important. Well, it's one of the 4 elements of the ikigai. So thank God, as I was hitting my 50s, I finally found work I love doing, and I haven't.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks for sharing that, Mark. Tell us, so growing up, what was your relationship with money like, and where would you say it is now?
Yeah, so when we do the Emotions of Money webinar, we talk about the influence, and you spoke about your parents' influence. And I was probably exactly the same. So I I mean, my parents separated when I was a year old. Grew up with my mom and my two older sisters, and my mom was in the language of money scripts. She was vigilant, you know, for whatever reason. She always looked after the money well. We didn't grow up with a lot of money by any means, but she always made sure there was food on the table, clothes, you know, school fees paid. We even would go on a holiday once a year, but it was you know, it was a tight sort of upbringing. My father, on the other hand, always had great jobs, and he was always in debt. And it, you know, I think the interesting thing when you talk about the hereditariness maybe of this stuff is I didn't grow up with him, but I sort of knew about the way he was, because he would always live in a big house, have a lovely car, and, you know, so a flashy life, you know, was important for him. And I think I got both of that stuff. I think that runs around. So when my mind and I'm in a stable place, in a good space, I think, you know, then I look after stuff. There's different times in my life where things have been running smoothly, and I take care of stuff. And the other times when I went off the rails a bit, and I would get reckless, because it's just, well, what the hell, you know, just so, yeah. The puzzling thing for me a little bit still is, because I don't think it's exclusively, Nadine, that comes from your parents. You know, the part I'm also trying to understand is, you know, if you're a Myers-Briggs ENTP, or if your base personality is this, you know, what influence does your base personality have, plus your parents' upbringing? You know, so there's layers that feed into this. But of course, it's critically important, because it stuffs up so many entrepreneurs around the globe, because they don't know how to manage money.
Absolutely. Which definitely brings me then to the next question. Mark, you've obviously worked with entrepreneurs throughout Africa. And what would you say is the biggest challenge that entrepreneurs have with regard to their emotions and money?
Can I share a slide, Nadine?
Sure. Yes,
Quickly,
please go ahead.
Yeah, let me just show you something here. Not that one. Sorry, not that one. Just, it was all nice. Yeah, this one over here. So this is one of the slides we do in our emotions and money workshop. So I say that the difficulty is that, you know, whether you like it or not, you know, money and your attitudes to money are going to exert an influence on your behaviors. And the only, I'm not going to go into any detail on the slide, but just in these two yellow blocks, you know, I don't come from a psychology background as well at all, Nadine, you do. But, you know, from that discipline, you know, beliefs and values drive behaviors. You know, there's no doubt about it. So block number 2 is that your only choice really is, are you going to become aware, or you're going to stay ignorant? You know, and those are the choices you've got really in life. So the problem is, if you're not aware of what's going on, you experience the difficulties of it, but the lack of awareness, or the willingness to press in and say, I need to find out more. And entrepreneurs have a massive load on their shoulders. Entrepreneurs eat last. There's that famous, I think it's Simon Sinek book, that says leaders eat last, but I don't know about leaders eating last. The CEO of Standard Bank, I don't think he eats last. You know, but entrepreneurs, there's no doubt. The entrepreneur eats last. You sort out your suppliers, you sort out your employees, you make your customers happy, you know, you pay your interest to the bank, you know, and then you eat. And from a noble perspective, entrepreneurs carry a load in society. We have a huge part to play. So being more self-aware and running better businesses is an amazing privilege.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. And I know that obviously in the workshop, we also then unpack, apart from our money beliefs, values, and behaviors, we also get into financial overwhelm.
Yes. Yeah.
So tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. So as I've worked, you know, in 10, 12 years, I've been working with entrepreneurs in the space of financial literacy. It's been painfully obvious that many people have a inbuilt fear and anxiety around anything to do with finance. You know, that often kicks in high school, I think, because for the first time you encounter maths that really becomes difficult. And then you make, excuse me, the incorrect assumption that accounting is a number subject. And, you know, accounting and maths in people's minds is linked. And people, over the years, I've heard awful stories. Someone missed school for 3 days, you know, went back, and then from a maths point of view, had lost it. And they never caught up. And that emotional stuff sits with you. They had an accounting teacher, some other story. She was getting 33% for accounting, got a new teacher, and she was getting 75%.
Yeah.
That's nuts. You know, how do we assign the success of our children's lives to just the arbitrariness of school experiences? Anyway, but the result of that is trauma. You know, people just don't want to handle finance. They don't want to go there. So the money personality that we've been talking about is sort of a lower layer, let's say. You've got your own personality. Then you've got, well, are you a spender, saver? Are you vigilant, you know, as you're growing up? But on top of that is the overwhelm and the anxiety that kicks in. So it's, you know, all of these things are playing. You know, in the world of an entrepreneur, finance is the language of business, whether you like it or not. It's not even, finance is the language of, you know, an NGO, because if you don't have money, you can't do anything. So finance is the oil and the glue that holds any organization together. So just having a comfortable relationship with it, and letting it work for you in your business is where we want to get. But to entrepreneurs' own demise or sabotage, they just avoid finance.
Interesting. As you were speaking, I'm also thinking back, and I was, you know, at school not good at maths, and ended up having to do maths on higher grade, and I also found it really challenging. And yet, when I got to my tertiary studies, like I excelled in statistics, which obviously, you know, also has its root in numbers. But, you know, once again, like the money personalities, we see that in other areas of our lives, you know, the things you have limiting beliefs around in your childhood then grow with you. And, you know, you always think that it's a challenge and really need to push through to actually see, is it a challenge or not, and not just accept that limiting belief around it. And so, Mark, what are, I mean, we've spoken a bit now, obviously, about the challenges, but the consequences then for entrepreneurs as a result that develop from avoiding money and the financial aspect of the business. What are those?
So, okay, let me just jump onto a slide again, and I know we're running tight on time, so I'm not gonna go into it really in too much detail. So this is just my understanding of the problems that sit around entrepreneurs and finance. We don't need to dwell on the detail of it, but we all know that the problems are poor financial management. Entrepreneurs don't spend enough time. Down in the bottom right, we got all this negativity in our belief set and mindset around finance. The way that shows up in the business is you've got compliance problems, increased risk of failure. You're not making the best choices you could. You're missing business opportunities. So there's a real mess, and it doesn't matter what country what country I'm in or who I talk to. You know, anyone. Excuse me. Anyone in the sector that works with entrepreneurs in this sort of zone that we're all involved in, you know, they know it. There's no question of understanding that there's this breadth of stuff that entrepreneurs face. Excuse me. What's that song? I will survive.
Are the flu germs getting you?
Yes,
are they coming for you? Have they got you already?
I'm going straight home to bed after this, let me tell you. Anyway,
winter.
it's a hell of a mess, Nadine, out there for our entrepreneurs, and it's not fair. It's not fair on society. It's not fair on our grandchildren that entrepreneurs should have all this negativity around finance when it's not necessary. Damn it, that's what gets me so frustrated. Okay, let me stop.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that, Mark. And so what are the strategies that entrepreneurs can implement to increase their awareness in their relationship with money?
Okay. So in our Emotions and Money workshop, we use this excuse me, and I think Mbatha, you can put up that link to the, because this test is free. You can go and look, it's got an American thing, and don't worry about the questions at the end. But if you're interested in doing this for yourself, you can go to the Klontz money script inventory, and they talk about four types of money personality. You either avoid it, so the overall thing is you don't believe money is a good thing. A money focused kind of personality is you just believe money is the key to happiness and will solve all of your problems. And we all have some of that running. Money status is probably, where my dad was. Your self-worth is linked to the lifestyle that you lead. So you overspend and you can get into whole piles of debt because you're trying to create an external thing. So it's a money status type of thing. And then vigilance is the person that's more than even keeled. You're alert, watchful. You're planning for the future. You're taking care of your retirement, etc. So those are the layers from your growing up from the money script point of view. Of course, I've already mentioned, we spoke about the anxiety stuff, which I think comes in often in the chats I've had with entrepreneurs. It comes in high school. You hit a problem with maths in grade 9 and the wheels come off, and some people never recover.
True. Thanks, Mark. So just to reiterate, the link to the Klontz money quiz is in the chat if you do want to try it for yourself and understand a bit more about your money personality. There are various assessments of this nature that can give you a bit of insight into it. But I think, Mark, the important thing is that I know that the report for Klontz then also comes with some strategies to correct. So if you are someone that falls into the avoidance category or the status category, and that's something you want to change, you can then, it gives you some advice on some things that you can do.
Absolutely, yeah. Sorry, I forgot to mention that, Nadine. So yeah, as part of the report, the free report that you get from doing the Klontz thing, is a list of things, practical strategies to help you.
Cool. Thanks, Mark. And so I think further to that, what do business leaders then do in the business to address, like, as you've showed us on your slide earlier with regard to the problem, if you now find yourself in the situation where your finances are in a state or what feels like a state and is overwhelming for you, what steps can you take?
So I came up with this little 7-step kind of model, just to say, look, if you are an entrepreneur that's struggling with anxiety and overwhelm in finance, here's just seven simple things that you got to keep in mind to maybe just help yourself. The starting point is always mindset. Sometimes underneath mindset, I think belief set is a deeper layer, but at the very least, you just start at mindset, because what I like saying, entrepreneurship comes in a can, not a can't. Entrepreneurs only go forwards. You can't get stuck, you can't get overwhelmed, you can't. It's just you are being unfair to yourself and everyone that depends on you. So having a resilient mindset is probably one of the strongest things that you develop as an entrepreneur. And from there, once you got mindset figured, actually the rest is just admin, really. Because once you said, I can do this, Nadine, that's the battle one. You're over 50%, then it's just, okay, because as an entrepreneur, you have the ability to fix it because you're an entrepreneur, for God's sake. You can do all sorts of stuff in your business. You've fixed this, you do that, so what's this little problem of finance? What the hell are you, a scaredy cat? Like, put on your big panties and go and fix the problem. So it's a mindset that's got to get fixed first, saying, you know what, I can do this. That's the starting point. And then from there, it's just plain old, okay, let me understand the problem, break it down, make a bit of a plan, make it a habit, all the layers I've got there, involve others, whether you've got an accountant or not, or just buddies. Sometimes it's like a gym buddy. You've got to have people that you can pull around you. And don't forget to go out for a milkshake, when you've reached a good milestone.
Awesome. Love it. I think it's a good model to approach most problems.
Well, yeah, no, it is, exactly.
Cool. Thanks so much, Marc. We are going to move on to our next guest now, and we'll come back later. If anybody has any questions, we'll open up for Q&A, and you're welcome to then ask Marc any questions you may have for him.
Thank you.
Cool. Let me just get my slide up again for us to welcome our next guest. Awesome. So our next guest is Dimakatso Mbatha, and I'm really excited to welcome Dimakatso today. She's just recently graduated from our 14th cohort of the Tholoana Enterprise Program earlier this year in Feb. Dimakatso is the founder of DL Consulting, and they operate in the waste space. And she was also recognized by Petco as one of the best female-owned companies in the waste collection space. So I'm really excited to have her here today. Dimakatso, can you pop on your camera and join us?
Hi, Nadine.
Hi.
I did struggle quite a lot. Hi, how are you?
Oh,
I did
your
struggle
network
quite
is
a lot. I had to
breaking.
be determined and go to the next outlet so that I can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi, Nadine.
Okay, let's see how we go. Because, I mean, you are looking gorgeous today. So it's good that we get to see you. Thank you so much for persevering. It's like Marc was saying, entrepreneurship comes in a can, so you had to find a way. But thank you so much for working away. I know you've been experiencing lots of challenges with the network. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Nadine. And my apologies for the background, Marc. As entrepreneur, we always make a plan. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you. All looks good.
Can you hear me,
let's go
Nadine?
for it. Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, my apologies. It's at the background as I indicated. Thank you for having me.
No need to apologize. Looks lovely. I love the lampshade there. Looks very interesting. So, Dimakatso, to get us going, just so that everybody on the call has a bit of insight, tell us a little bit about your business journey, how you got into the business where you currently are, and how things are going.
Okay, just to highlight, for me to, yes. I hope the network is it's not stable, but I'll try to keep on hearing, and I hope that I get fine. Just to describe about my business journey, I opened a consulting business actually in 2008. After working simply for 2 years, I was born from a very poor background. I was raised by my mom, single parent. And then from there, I never knew my father. I only knew my father when I was 19 years old. I was one of those people that were taken that as the kids that we were called choice assorted at those times. My mom had 3 kids from different fathers. They dropped them. And then I had to strive and be on my own when I started the business. So after I started to work and then I opened a consulting business, I was doing policies, strategies. And then I remember because of being having the background of growing from a poor background, definitely that it is going to be able to assist also the other people that are coming from a destitute background like myself. I remember the time when I started it, I went to one of the briefing sessions where the Department of Environmental Affairs was compiling they wanted service providers to do the strategy for climate change. And then as an entrepreneur, I started to see a gap in waste management in Mpumalanga. And I said, you know what, this is an opportunity to fulfill my desire to help other destitute people. At the same time, I'll be making money, because I always say to people that your waste is my treasure, because people, they don't know the opportunity that is there. It's there in waste management. And then I started to even go from use the existing funds that I had from the consulting to open a recycling business with no funding, with nothing, because I was determined that I want this thing to work. And then what happened is that in the year 2000, when COVID started, we all were in a panic mood. And then I started from there. I just said, you know what? I remember very well at that time, I had an overdraft of 100,000, and I was pregnant at that time. My grandmother that raised me while my mom was also at work, she passed on. And then the only way was that I had to see that, okay, there is no money, there's nothing. What is it that I'm going to be able to do? I went to get an advice from the debt review. And that was the biggest mistake that I did as an entrepreneur. I remember even I had a miscarriage at that time. I lost my child. And then those people, they didn't even tell me that, you know what, if you go into this thing, you won't have an access for funding, you won't have an access for anything. So immediately COVID passed, there I was in a very serious trouble. I had to use my own existing fund to operate the business. But I was determined that I wanted it to work. It was fulfilling me. But the problem is that I was now recycling needed a lot of transport, needed a lot of assets, a lot of equipment. I could not even purchase even a forklift itself. I remember when SAB went out for request of the entrepreneur to uplift, I was one of the people. I prayed and I said, you know what, God, I believe this is my opportunity. I applied with the grace of God, then I got it. And then there it was an opening for a bigger purpose in my business.
Awesome.
Because I used to cry. I remember when I first came to the first interview when our first workshop, I was crying so much because I was so stressed, Nadine. But here I am today. I'm able to make it.
That's thank you so much for sharing so much detail about your journey. I know that I'm sure many of the entrepreneurs in the room can definitely relate to some of the challenges that you faced. So thank you for having the courage to share. You have spoken a bit about your relationship with your mom in our previous conversations, and you know how she struggled to raise you. How do you think your upbringing has contributed to your relationship with money?
You know, with us, most of the time as a Black community, I'll say that specifically, we were never taught about money. We were told just that you make money, but the problem is that in terms of spending, I was spending a lot. But the only thing that I remember even when I started to work, because of not having the relationship with money, I started my first salary. When I started to work, I took the whole salary home. So then the problem was that I could not do the budget properly. I could not even know how to spend. I was scared to actually look into the bank account because I was always stressed. I said that what if I was just working now and then, because I was working for survival. But that was the mistake that I had. And then I had to, when I even started my business, I started to employ the family. I started to employ the relatives because I felt sorry for everyone. And that was the biggest disaster that you can ever do as an entrepreneur, because you cannot control everyone. But the background of being raised as by my mom alone, it was so difficult because I just had to look at how I'm going to help my siblings. But it was a problem in terms of the business.
I can
So
imagine that. Yeah. And it's definitely something we speak about in the workshops on the program, the challenges about employing family and then managing your family in the workplace. Tell me, Dimakatso, how did the Tholoana program help you then in your financial journey once you joined?
it was the best thing that can ever happen, because as I said, that I could not even purchase the forklift, and I got a grant. Tholoana helped me, SAB Tholoana Foundation helped me to get the grant, and I purchased the forklift immediately. I could then start to work properly on the recycling. I managed to buy certain transport vehicles out of the recycling, because the money that I was using to rent, I ended up using to purchase the asset. And then that's why even now, as you know, Nadine, I'm having about 3 buyback centers now out of the help that I got from Tholoana. I started to learn my in terms of also take life out of me in terms of going for it, not being scared to look at my financial statements, because I was not able to do that before. So because of Tholoana Foundation, I gained the skills on also how to separate the business from the personal aspects, because that's where I was losing a business quite a lot. So actually, I will say with qualities myself also, I was not confident because I was so demoralized, but being at Tholoana Foundation, it took the drive out of me, and I could be able also to help the other entrepreneurs also to guide them on how to do it. And then I'm very clued up with my finances, unlike before, because I just used to work from hand to mouth. But now, because of Tholoana Foundation, here I am today. I'm even able to advise other entrepreneurs of what I went through. And the Tholoana people, SAB Tholoana Foundation people, is like a family. You can call them at any time. Even sometimes I used to call the other people, even yourself, Sibu, and all of them, Martin and Nabobashe. You'll call them at any time. They will never say, no, don't call. So Tholoana have helped me to have a family, to gain confidence, discovering that I'm really the best out of the Tholoana Foundation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all your kind words. And then I think the last question that I have for you, Dimakatso, is what advice would you share with other entrepreneurs who might be feeling overwhelmed, struggling with where they're at in their finances at this point?
Okay, what advice that I can give a first advice to say that separate business from personal issues, because business and personal thing doesn't work out. Pay yourself salary, because you end up working, but you will end up neglecting yourself, and then you will burn out. Number 3, in terms of finances, don't be scared to look at your expenses. Don't be scared to look at the systems. Do your budgeting, save money, because there are times when you really need, as an entrepreneur, need time to access into your finances and be able to run the business. And the other thing, you can do it, be determined, pray, and then God will be able to help you. And then link up with other entrepreneurs, because sometimes when you are alone, you feel like you are in the dead end. But when you see that there are other people that goes through what you are going through, it becomes an excellent thing that you can ever go across.
Thank you so much, Dimakatso. Thanks for your inputs and all the insights that you've shared. As I mentioned earlier, we'll come back for questions shortly. I think I just want to wrap up the webinar quickly, and then we'll open the floor for questions if that's okay with everyone. So what does this all mean, and what would we like you to take away from this webinar today? Firstly, remember that what you believe and how you feel about money affects the decisions you make in how you manage your money. Secondly, remember that it's important to recognize what you need to learn and what you need to unlearn with regard to your relationship with money. If you have the time, if you are interested, definitely go and try out the Klon's little quiz, get your report, and use it as a starting point to understand where you are at and what the changes are that you would like to make in terms of how you would want your relationship with money to be. And lastly, remembering that as a business leader, it's not just about your personal finances, however you feel, and the behaviors around your management of money in your personal life will transcend into the business. So if you found our discussions interesting here today, like I said, on the program, we host a workshop around the emotions of money. That is just the first touch point in a series of various interventions with regard to financial management and investment readiness. Please head on over to our website if you are interested in joining one of our business development accelerator programs. And join the waiting list so that you'll be first to know when our new programs are launching, and you are then welcome to apply. For any impact investors in the room, if you are interested in partnering with Fetola on running an accelerator or program, please also head over to our website and book a chat with us. I think that would be the conclusion of our session here today. And I'd like to open up the floor if anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask Marc or Dimakatso. You are welcome to pop your hand up and we will get to you. Vezi, you're welcome to pop your camera on if you can, or you can just unmute and ask your question.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
I don't look too good today. I'm in the farm.
That's okay.
I don't look that good today.
You look good to me.
But I've got a question for because I just struggled to join, so I missed a lot of information on the first one. But what interests me with Mbatha, I'm coming from a space that support emerging small businesses, especially the ones I'm.
Vezi, you went on to mute.
Oh, it's unmuted itself, this thing.
So I lost you where you said you come from a space where you're supporting emerging
I'm
businesses.
supporting emerging businesses. The one I'm currently working with in Soweto is in the waste management space. Okay, I was trained in banking. I'm retired. I'm in my early 60s now. So what we do, we set up a supporting structure for various businesses. But the one I know best is the one of providing finance to small businesses, because that's what I was doing for nearly 15 years in the banking side. As a result, we are setting up financing structures in rural areas and township through the model of cooperative banking, which is a recent legislation passed by the government enabling small businesses to set up their own financing structure where they are. It was passed in 2008, rolled out in 2011, and we're busy implementing it. But in the waste management sector, I've had the privilege of working with a small group of people who are in that sector of Dimakatso. And I think they can gain valuable experience from the person who is doing it practically. Because he said he's also from a consulting space. And I can see that the Fetola SAB Tholoana has made a good, giving her good confidence. And she said she's even prepared to help other emerging businesses. So maybe since I've met her here, is the way that we can somehow collaborate and she help others. I do also some work in Mpumalanga, in Kwaggafontein, for the waste management. But the one I'm talking about, which I'm busy with at the moment, is in Soweto. Maybe Soweto can be too far, but when I start rolling out that help I'm giving in Kwaggafontein, which is in Mpumalanga, I can get hold of it.
Ah. So, Dimakatso, the question was for you. I'm wondering if she's maybe dropped off the call. Maybe
Hi,
just
Nadine. I can hear.
Oh,
I was listening to the
couldn't find
question,
you.
but I kept on switching off my my video for the background, and then so that's all. No, thank you so much. I did hear the question. I definitely will be interested to be part of the program to help the other small emerging business, and even myself as currently, because we are in the rural areas. I'm opening more of the buyback centers. This is a very good opportunity because with waste management, you cannot go wrong. So I think what I can indicate now that I am definitely available. And then even on this week, I will be in Johannesburg as I'm having a workshop with Fiber Circle. Fiber Circle also is through SAB also that I started to, my skills started to get out until Fiber Circle also recognized me. They are one of the support program studies. They're also helping emerging business. They are as good as SAB Fetola Foundation. So I'm definitely in. I'm confident we can go far with this, because even as we are speaking now in Amsterdam, not Amsterdam overseas, Amsterdam near in Mpumalanga, I'm about to start in the rural areas there. I'm about to start another buyback center. And there are also emerging businesses that we can also collaborate and help work with together with. While my business is growing, at the same time, I will impact the knowledge on the others also.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dimakatso. Vezi, I don't know, maybe you could, but let's see, share Dimakatso's contact details with Vezi in the chat, so that you can connect with her. I think that's awesome. I saw your really cool little YouTube video from Fiber Circle, Dimakatso. It was really cute, giving great insight into the work that you are doing. Thanks, Vezi. Sia, would you like to ask your question?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mark, for the great presentation. And thank you as well, Nadine, for presenting this webinar for us. My question with you, Mark, I think I got it. You will correct me if I got it right. You are basically saying finance is a communication to us in relation to our discipline. Is that basically what you are saying?
Just run that by me again, Sia.
It's a communication or a language. I think you use a term language to communicate back to us in terms of discipline.
Yes, that's right. So that the term I used, if that's what you're referring to, Sia, is finance is the language of business.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's the oil and the glue that holds it together. But I went on a little bit. I said it's not just because then you think it's only private sector. You know, any entity, you can be a non-profit, any entity, you know, money and is the glue that holds it together. Whether you're a for-profit or a not-for-profit. So just loosely we say finance is the language of business. And it just, it's to your own detriment that entrepreneurs, if you're not getting on top of it, you don't have to be an expert, just like you're not an expert in marketing or IT, but you've got to know enough about, as an entrepreneur, you've got to know enough about everything in your business, so that you can have good conversations with the experts, with the IT expert, with the marketing expert. You can't sit there and not know what to say when the marketing person is talking about a USP or a market segment or a brand strategy. You got to know what they mean. So same in finance.
Thank you, Mark.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your question, Sia. Vili, or Vilile, sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, October, Mark, and Dimakatso.
Hi.
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Please go ahead.
Okay, thanks for this opportunity. I've been listening. I would like to encourage you to have more and more of these webinars. They are helping us a lot here. I'm currently in Mpumalanga, where I'm located at Secunda, a business advisor. I'm working with NYDA, assisting young people to start businesses and also assisting them to scale up their businesses. So my question or comment is, how can we help some of our brothers here who we see? They usually get a lot of money. Maybe they got it from road accident funds, they got it from lotto winnings, or it's an inheritance. and then they end up blowing it. So what are the tips that we can give them? If maybe it happens, you have a lot of money that you receive somewhere, how can you handle it proper? Thank you.
You can go ahead, Mark.
You want to give that one to me? Okay. Thanks, Melila, very much for that question. I think the first thing I would say is lock it away in a safe and throw away the keys is probably the safest thing to do. But I mean, it's a really interesting point, but I would say get a professional alongside you. Find a certified financial planner who know about the detail of money management. And by all means, part of that means, listen, just enjoy a bit yourself. But a certified, a CFP, an expert financial planner would absolutely be the place. Because I know, back in the day when I've had money different times, you go mad. Money makes you mad, your head goes soft. So it's very possible to do crazy and strange things and irresponsible things, even when you suddenly get money. It's a real funny thing, money. I often I'm going on, Nadine, but let me say one thing. If you want to know what a person's like, if you want to know what a person's really like, just add money. Just add money, and then you'll see what are they. Do they become a selfish, crazy person, or do they open up and try and help others or whatever? Anyway, but so money's a really interesting thing, is the point. But absolutely, they must find a trusted, certified financial planner to help them. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Mark. Which makes me think of, I know what you were saying, Vilile, is obviously that maybe help is in short supply, and maybe there isn't a financial advisor close by, but there is a value to be found in consulting sort of experienced individuals or multiple individuals to share wisdom on making decisions of that nature. That's what I would say. If there isn't a professional, ask a few people who, are who seem to be doing well in that area of their life, and get some advice from them. But thank you so much for your question. Dimakatso, I see you've got your hand up. I'm not sure if you want to respond to Valide's question.
I'm not sure, Nadine, can I say something on that also?
Yes, of course. Go ahead.
Yes. Nadine, here in Mpumalanga, actually, we are having some couple of entrepreneurs also that are helping SMMEs, and there are workshops that we are involved at. So like this coming Saturday, there will be another webinar for entrepreneurs also, where they will be teaching. Also invited as a guest speaker there. We can also share the information there that where entrepreneurs can come and hear about the finances and the opportunities. Because I believe, as my brother was asking a question now, that there are a lot of people, when they have money, they don't know what to do to use with it. But joining in those organizations, having the coaches around, whatever it is, I can also give the contact details of Sizanele also, who is working for Mega. They are really quite doing a lot in terms of training the people around Mpumalanga in terms of the finances. They go to the communities. They also sometimes go to even the organization. Any organization, you can invite them, can have a group of people. They can come there and they can learn. And it's quite helping a lot of people quite a lot here in Mpumalanga. So you can also share my contact details with my brother there in Sekunda. We are here to help. Also can come. And then because I've learned, I might as well give the skills to the other people also that are going through the same things that I went through before.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dimakatso. That's excellent. Thank you. Siposiso.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, Mark, thank you again for the book recommendation, because I already started with Ikigai. My only problem is that I lack flow when it comes to I'm a startup. So I'm at a process where I'm supposed to actually do a financial plan. I find it easy to do everything else, but there's a huge delay and anxiety when it comes to financial planning. So, but there isn't, yeah, just maybe if you can share a strategy or one tool that I can maybe utilize in just fighting this anxiety, because it's a field that, like Dimakatso, I don't have a good financial history or where I come from. And it's something that we lack as in the Black community, where we're taught about how to handle finances. So I just maybe want that breakthrough thing that I can utilize at this moment to actually start with a financial plan.
You're on mute, Mark.
Thanks. Sorry about that. Thanks, Sibu. So obviously I can't give you a 10-minute how to do financial projections in 2 minutes here, Sibu, but I would say maybe two things. The starting point is the mindset. Absolutely always. As an entrepreneur, you got to say entrepreneurship comes in a can. Never a can't. You got to get up. You got to be resilient, and you got to say, I can do this. The only thing is, where do I find help? How do I get around this obstacle? We don't know how to stop. We go over, we go around, we go under, we go through, but we got to keep moving. So that's the first thing, is don't give up, never give up. Entrepreneurs never give up. And in the chat, I saw Mahlatsi drop a link there. So feel free to go and jump into my bookings app and book a 30-minute call with me if that's a solution, and we can have a bit of a talk. Mahlatsi, you're also going to drop up my LinkedIn profile, I think, as well, is going to come in at some point. So anyone's free, of course, to link in with me. Sibu, so I can't give you specific help now, but what I can tell you can do it. It's not impossible, and let's get on a call so I can give you better help.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, we are running out of time. So Tumelo has had his hand up for quite a while. So Njabu, you've just jumped in there, but we'll have to end with you as the last question. Tumelo, would you like to go quickly?
Yes, no, thank you very much for the opportunity. I think I put my head up for the session because I've learned a lot. One of the things that I've learned is that, the psychology behind money. When you receive your invoice or your payment because of the work that you did, sometimes we subconsciously, especially if you are receiving money which is not that much, we subconsciously are blocking our blessings because of the reaction that we have when we are receiving little money. I'm saying this because of the one of the presenters saying that money is sort of connected to your emotions. Obviously, when you are receiving less, there are some thoughts that are getting out there, maybe saying this is not going to be much for me, maybe for a month or what. So what I'm saying is that I've learned a lot. So I have to be in a jovial mode each and every day because of what it will help me with dealing with money. It will help me even if I have less, but because of I have happiness and joy, things will work out somehow because of what the joy that I'll be projecting out there. So I'm saying let's do more of these sessions because this has been an eye opener for me. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your comment. Njabu, and then I know that Siwe, sorry, is also struggling. So we can definitely take your question, Siwe. But Njabu, do you want to go first?
Yes, thanks Nadine and Mark and Dimakatso for the informative session. I think my comment is just an observation or just getting your input in terms of reconciling. As a business person, I do the finances and stuff, but I think it's more psychological where people say money flows to you, and a business reality that, you know, the business is in a tight position, you know, reconciling the two, that it's not that money is not flowing or the psychology behind that. It's just the reality that, you know, the business is in a tight spot. So how do you reconcile the perception that, oh, money is not flowing into the business because you've got financial blockages, versus the reality that, you know, as a business, you will face challenges? I would like to hear your comment on those two.
I think it's a tough one. I see Mark looks like he's struggling as to how he would answer that. You know, it's interesting because in our session that we had when we kicked off the Money Magic series with our most recent cohort, TP16, Catherine, our CEO, she made a comment to say, you have as much money as you believe you deserve. And that was actually a comment that for some people, you know, they took time, they thought about it and could come into agreement with it. And for some people, it was a very harsh reality. They actually felt defensive about it. And I think, you know, maybe it links to what you say you're feeling, where, you know, you don't think it's about the blockage, you think it's the reality of the situation. So I think a bit of yes and a bit of no. You know, as Mark was saying, you know, entrepreneurship comes in a can. So, you know, when you are experiencing challenges in the business, you need to then look at, you know, are you accessing all the markets that you could? Are you reaching your customers effectively through your marketing? Are you targeting the right customers? You know, it becomes about what strategies you can employ to be able to get more customers, to get more products off the shelf. And it is about opening up your mindset and approaching it in a positive and resilient way. So you've tried something, it's not working, try something else, try something else, try something else. Ask yourself the questions, you know, is my product meeting the need? Is the quality sufficient? Is it, you know, is my messaging going, hitting home for my target market? Because sales is the lifeblood of the business, you know, so it really does become a question of how can you increase your sales to get more money into the business. I'm not sure if that is a helpful response to your question.
Yeah, it is. You can add on, Mark.
Njabu, can I jump in a little bit? So, look, there's no easy answers, eh? You know, entrepreneurship is not for sissies. It's not, you know, it's a school of hard knocks. It's just like that. You never know what's going to happen the next day. I like Jim Rohn's four-stage model, just what he talks about stuff. You know, and in the beginning, you're in survival. And survival's hard. You know, survival's really hard. You're learning, you in your nappies as a kid. You don't know what's going on in the world. You haven't learned. You haven't got a network. You haven't got all your hacks and your shortcuts figured out. It's really just damn hard. You know, that's the fact of it. But the thing with entrepreneurs is we have resilience. So we now to just say we get up and we got to keep going. A friend of mine likes saying, get up, dress up, show up. You know, if it's hard, get up, dress up, show up. You know, it doesn't mean we don't feel sad and we don't have a buddy or a sister that we're going to go and cry on their shoulder and say, Jesus, I just, it's a lonely world. Anyway, so survival, stability is kind of the next stage when, we got predictable income and things are getting a bit better and we can start planning more forwards a bit. The next two, of course, is nice because that's about success. You're having typically a material success and then significance as the top one. I'll offer to you as well, if you're more than welcome to book a call with me, throw some ideas around, whatever, maybe, get you on some go forward, because that's kind of what's important, is just get some traction with either some resource, some people that you can talk to. Maybe you need a business coach, or fellow entrepreneurs sometimes that you can, you just talk with and say, listen, this is where the hell I'm at. Anyone got ideas? So not a perfect answer necessarily, Njabu, but facing the problem is the first thing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Cool. Dimakatso, did you want to contribute?
Yes, I just wanted to say, Gerald, and I don't know, those people where I'm here, they start to make music, but anyway, I'm gonna try to talk as louder as possible. The business is not working out. I always remember my mentor, Ntando Maseko, will always say, identify where you are losing money, make strategies in terms of how you're gonna make that work. Because the more you are starting to stress a lot, you'll end up sticking into one thing and not being able to do the other thing. Just identify where the holes are and pray also. And also make your systems in the right way so that you can be able to track where you are losing money and where you are making money. And as Nadine have said, check whether the type of business that you are doing, what is it that you can do in terms of increasing the sales also. If you see that, you have to also try to identify other methods to enhance or make it more, or market your business even better. Maybe that's where the problem is also. So I just wanted to input on that I learned the hard way. Not knowing the cracks, not knowing the holes can make you not to sleep at night.
Thanks, Dimakatso. Thanks, Njabo. I hope that was useful. Siwe, you will be our last question for today.
Hi, everyone. What an informative session. I can't really see the chats and everything. I'm not sure I can screens. So all the links, everything that is being said, I can't see. If I'm not sure if, and Nadine, you'd be so kind and maybe email, or maybe I don't know how I can get it, but somehow my Zoom, it's just that sign Zoom, and then by God's grace, I'm able to interact. But thank you very much, Mark, Dimakatso, and Nadine for this session. Dimakatso, I just want to say it's so encouraging to see a successful, ordinary person. You know, it's so easy to relate to you. And just to mention, for me, it's just a comment rather on things that Mark has mentioned as well. I think everyone has touched on it, and some of the questions that I had before I got the opportunity has been answered. So Mark speaks of those blockages, though, that's anxiety that you get. So that's where I am in my business. So I am with SAB now, and then they will introduce webinars where you are able to identify, like for me, I'm a nurturer, I'm a giver. And then as mentioned, it's so easy sometimes to give. And then by the time you notice, you've run out of everything and you can't even give to yourself. And then now you get the systems, as Dimakatso was saying, that you need systems, and then you've got the templates and everything else. That's where I get so overwhelmed now and not sure which one comes first. Is it HR procedures? What am I needing to grow my skills in? Because I am realizing I need to grow in all departments. And as Mark was saying, that you can't be sitting in a marketing meeting and thinking, okay, the marketers have got it. And then I think I've got the head knowledge of what needs to be done and everything else, but it's just overcoming that fear, your relationship with money. And as you mentioned, maths, So when I was at school, I believed that I was not smart enough when it comes to numbers and everything else. That's why I studied your history, your geography, and all of that. And then now you come into the business world, and then you realize that, you know, actually I need maths, I need accounting. And then I get stuck again. I'm one of those people where I've left an exam in UNISA because one of my modules was accounting. So I'm one of those people like that. So it's things I've worked over to overcome with prayer. Dimakatso keep mentioning prayer there. So those are now my stumbling blocks as I'm in business, whereby I know everything. I know what needs to be done. I know I need to work on this and this. And then on the day, like every morning, I need to overcome weights. What is important? Okay, what client are we dealing with? So I would like, you know, the mechanism. I know a lot has been said, and as Mark has mentioned, that it's a journey. There are a lot of things that you need to consider. And Nadine mentioned that you need to try something, and if it doesn't work, chop it, change, and it's showing up every day. But it's just that mechanism of getting over my head, my emotions, and the relationship that I have with money, because I do have something viable here, and it's, you know, growing nicely. It's just that I need to grow myself. So thank you very much for this opportunity and this webinar. It does really help.
Awesome, Siwe. Thank you so much for your contribution. And I want to say to you, be kind to yourself and be patient with yourself. You've just started on your Tholoana journey. So I'm sure 18 months from now, you'll see an amazing transformation in the business as well as in yourself. But be kind to yourself. Like Mark has said numerous times today, entrepreneurship is not easy. It's a lot of pressure from a lot of angles and a lot of things to get right. And as Dimakatso said, you know, you work on the holes in your buckets, but you can't do everything at the same time. So take things one step at a time, and be kind. Don't be too hard on yourself. Awesome. Thank you so much. I think that brings us to the conclusion of our time today. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. Like I said at the beginning of our session, that finance is it's a touchy one. It's not everybody's favorite one. Everybody doesn't like the numbers, talking about it, hearing about it, getting into it. And so I really commend you for joining the conversation today. I hope it's something you continue to think about as you go forward. Thank you so much. We will be sharing the recording as well as the links. So Siwe, don't worry, the links are coming your way via email. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon and week. Thanks, everyone.